Okay, maybe I can fix the lighting a little bit better. Stand by one. Okay, I don't know if that helps much, but we're at a point of desperation, you know, where every little bit counts. Okay, it's about 5:30 in the afternoon. It's very hot. I'm sweaty and bedraggled. And I'm going to get right to the stuff on my blog. Changing screens, standby one. Seems like a long time since morning when I started putting pieces up. Scrolling to the bottom of all this mess. I've been watching live streaming from Dabu, coming from Cleveland. We'll get to that. But first things first. All right, it looks like the first piece I put up. Actually, maybe it wasn't. I'm going to go back a little bit further. A little bit further. Yeah, you know, I have recently said that this doesn't seem like my beat anymore. I feel like I've been pressed into service in somebody else's slot. I feel like I'm a substitute for whoever ought to be here doing this kind of report, and it sure as hell ain't me. But here I am, and I feel like a foreigner in a foreign land. Like this almost cannot even be real. I left off last night with a piece, Somewhere Behind Enemy Lines. This is kind of sort of my my thing. DQ has been MIA POW for 10 weeks. I'm not okay with that. There's nothing I can do about it. It's an issue that I struggle with personally every minute of every hour of every day, and I may have to continue to struggle with that issue. Just so you know, it remains foremost and center in my heart. Going on, the next piece I put up, which was this morning, had to do with a recent report. This is about Erdogan, and again, I am not pronouncing that man's name correctly. That is the president of the Islamic Republic of Turkey, whose government, or himself or somebody, there was a coup a couple of days ago, and the fallout is continuing from that. I continue to watch with some trepidation because there are at least 1,500 United States Air Force personnel on a base in Turkey. It's a NATO joint U.S. Air Force NATO base in Turkey. And it seems that there were 46 planes there that are equipped with nuclear warhead devices. And it seems to me that these U.S. Servicemen and their families are essentially held hostage under this circumstance. I understand that all Air Force bases in the United States are at Delta alert status. I can't confirm that. I'm not near an Air Force base at the present time. I can't confirm it, but I believe that to be the case. While all attention is diverted to the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, I think the real important shit is actually happening in Turkey. So as we go through these pieces, bear that in mind. Going on, the next piece I put up was another one about the Air Force base in Turkey being used as a bargaining tool for a nuclear caliphate. Please go to my blog to read these. I can't, go into depth about all of them. Then the next piece I put up is something that I talked a little bit about last night when I was mentioning Ann Barnhart and her reporting. And I have posted the piece that I talked about last night. Why the diabolical narcissists like Hillary Clinton want to get caught, and it isn't for the reason you think. I put that entire piece up. Please read it if you have not. It is important that we understand the personality traits behind that is the psychopath personality. We really must understand that, or we cannot get a grip on what is happening. You tend to judge people. This is an axiom of human nature. You judge others by yourself. And that will be lethal. If you continue to judge the psychopaths by yourself, because nothing could be more in opposition. We are not the same people. We are not the same species. We are nothing like the psychopaths. You cannot judge the psychopaths by comparing them to yourself. And if you do, you cannot understand what the psychopaths are doing. So take time. I also put a couple of Ann's videos up on here. And if you have not heard them, you need to go back and re-listen to those videos. Going on. Max's thread unraveled. Number 16. Okay. Oh gosh, what an experiment. Continuing. Dave Hodges started out very optimistic this morning, and he put up a big piece in which he says, last night the GOP rejected the New World Order. I think Dave is a little bit too optimistic. There's maybe a foot in the crack of the door. But at least it's some movement in a better direction. And he has discussed this. It seems that they're This happened inside the convention hall. Ted Cruz was speaking, and I have not followed any of that. That was American political theater. Not interested here at all. But a globalist, Heidi Cruz, married to this Ted Cruz, was actually run out of the GOP convention, allegedly for her safety. And this is of interest. Dave was trying to post a picture of Run Heidi Run when she was running to escape the GOP convention. And the internet did not allow him to access that photo or to put it up. I looked for that image and I couldn't find it either. And I will say also, I don't publish on WordPress, but Blogspot, where I do publish, also got in my face quite a bit today, and I had a lot of problem posting anything. I really had to work around them to get anything up. So Dave is saying, I tried to post a photo of Heidi Cruz running from the floor of the GOP convention. However, in real time, as I tried to upload this photo, I received this message in an unprecedented action that appeared on my computer. Background request blocked. WordFence firewall blocked a background request to WordPress for the URL whatever. The above was a message I received as I tried to upload an image of Run Heidi Run from Google Images. If you do not think that the globalists are not watching every move we make, think again. So then he tried to put up another picture which really doesn't show too much. And if you try to Google up Run Heidi Run, I doubt very much you will find the image either. What we get is some little ninny's private blog about her exercising routine. The populist uprising is upon us, Dave says. Heidi Cruz, former senior VP at Goldman Sachs, who also supported and participated in the creation of NAFTA, was met with GOP delegates' chants of Goldman Sachs over and over. These chants were obviously a condemnation of her role in Goldman Sachs, as she has participated in NAFTA-created job flight from the United States to the cheap labor market of third world countries. The frustration faced by Cruz must be enormous. This election was supposed to come down to globalist, lying Ted Cruz versus the lapdog of the New World Order, the sociopath criminal Hillary Clinton. In Dave Hodges' opinion, the significance of this moment cannot be understated. Mr. and Mrs. America, do you understand the significance of this moment? The mainstream of the Republican Party was not just rejecting Ted and Heidi Cruz for their support of government actions that have cost this country millions of jobs. The GOP was outwardly rejecting the globalist organization, Goldman Sachs. I never thought I would live so long as to witness what we are seeing at the GOP convention. This is truly history in the making, in which the membership of the GOP, who would have labeled the independent media's condemnation of Goldman Sachs and American traders such as Ted and Heidi Cruz, would have had only a year ago labeled this view as a conspiracy theory. Now, tears of joy literally come to eyes as I witness what is happening inside of the GOP. His article goes on, posts some more stuff. In conclusion, I am glad that Heidi Cruz was not injured, nor do I believe the angry GOP delegates meant her physical harm. However, the actions of these delegates signaled that they are done with the likes of globalists like Henry Kissinger and this man, George H.W. Bush, who was the first president to utter the words, "the New World Order," in public. Now we need to rid ourselves of these globalists so we can begin to rebuild our nation and heal its wounds. Going on. Scrolling up to the next. Muslims botch attempted Lee Rigby style terrorist attack in UK. Thursday, July 21st, 2016 at 11:04. I believe that was 11:04 a.m. American, probably Eastern time. Royal Air Force personnel at a base in Norfolk in the UK have been warned not to wear their uniform in public or travel on foot unaccompanied after one of their colleagues narrowly avoided being kidnapped at knife point, raising fears of a Lee Rigby-style terrorist attack. The Norfolk police statement released on Thursday afternoon has given details of the description of the two men being hunted for the attempted kidnapping. The statement said, suspect one is described as being between 20 and 30 years old, approximately 6 foot tall, of athletic but stocky build with dark hair, which was long on top and had a well-groomed beard. He was of Middle Eastern origin in appearance with a dark skin tone and wore dark casual clothing. The statement continued, suspect 2 is described as being between 20 to 30 years old, but younger than the first suspect and of a slimmer build. He was approximately 5'10", clean shaven with short dark hair. He was also of Middle Eastern origin in appearance and wore a white t-shirt and dark shorts. An airman was out running near Royal Air Force Base Marham near King's Lynn in Norfolk when he was approached by two men wielding knives. It is reported that they were trying to kidnap him by bundling him into a Ford Galaxy style people carrier. The man was unharmed in the incident, which took place at 3:30 p.m. on Wednesday, and was able to get away from his attackers, who sped off. He was not wearing his uniform at the time, the Daily Telegraph has reported. Theresa May, the UK's new Prime Minister, is perfectly okay with these savages coming to Britain, but bans people like Richard Spencer, Matt Heimbach, and Michael Cushman. The editor has made a note. Thanks to decades of multiculturalism, political correctness, and third world immigration, British soldiers have to disguise themselves in their own country. The backstory to all of this. Drummer Lee Rigby of the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers was attacked and killed while returning to the Royal Artillery Barracks in Woolwich, southeast London, by two men who ran him over with their car before hacking him to death with machetes. I think that happened sometime in 2015. There have been several similar incidences. Following that attack, military personnel at the base were warned to keep a low profile and not travel unaccompanied. Richard Curzon of Protective Security at the Ministry of Defense has issued an internal memo to staff advising, following a security incident at Royal Air Force Base Markham, it is directed that all personnel keep a low profile and not make themselves vulnerable. Specifically, until the threat subsides, no one is to be on their own on foot or on a bicycle within the local area in uniform or clothing which might identify them with the military. You know, that's just incredible that military members on a military base in the UK have been advised not to go off their base wearing their uniforms or any other insignia that might identify them as members of the Royal Air Force. No one is to be on their own on foot or on a bicycle within the local area in uniform or clothing which might identify them with the military. For fear of being kidnapped by Muslims. Going on. Okay. The next piece, I kind of mentioned something very similar to this in the last video that I did. I don't know if this was the exact incident or not, but this has been picked up by the Patriot movement in the United States, making it, this is extremely significant to a lot of people. This article is entitled Soldier of the Caliphate, and it comes from website Gates of Vienna. The well-integrated foster child and soldier of the Caliphate. Know that the elected and non-elected rulers of almost all Western countries, most certainly including the FUSA, that means the Federal United States of America, as opposed to the organic people of the United States of America, are importing these youths by the hundreds of thousands, and that the Erdogan coup will send thousands more. As we reported on Monday, a young culture enricher ran amok with a knife and an axe on a train in Bavaria, severely wounding several people before being shot dead by police. New details have emerged since then. The youthful miscreant had declared himself a soldier of the Caliphate, pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, and recorded a martyrdom video. The detailed report below was first posted at Politically Incorrect. Link to that. Many thanks to Nash, Montana for translating the article and the videos, and to Veled somebody for the subtitling. The Würzburg attacker lived with a foster family, which is a privilege for very well integrated, oh, forgive me, in a clip from the IS circulated video, he threatened unbelievers and concretely the entirety of Germany. These two sentences are now ringing in a new age, an age in which there is so much lunacy that we are compelled to take it as normal. There is no security anymore, but we'll just proceed as usual. The Moroccans had their fun. Now the Afghans are coming. Generally, we have to assume that principally every day, in every location, and more or less worldwide, such attacks will take place. We are not safe from them. What is certain is that we cannot let these people ruin our lives. We will live our lives as we always have. Bavarian Minister of the Interior, Håkan Herman. But even before this lunacy became state doctrine in our once safe country, the lying Afghan or Pakistani Muhammad Riyad was our VP guest. Once Merkel circulated her tantalizing selfies and uttered sentences such as, quote, "And now I want to make it very clear, it is not in my power, it is not in the power of any person in Germany, how many come here." This is a PI Photoshop, but it is entirely possible. All right. Skipping a little bit here. A butcher would probably have been more fitting. In his pre-recorded video, the insignificant foundling, poor little boy, in other words, brandishes a knife here and there while he tells us of his mission. "I am a soldier of the Islamic State, and I am beginning a holy mission in Germany." This video is authentic. One wouldn't want to be stuck in the skin of his foster family, who quite possibly also have children of their own. And this video is on my blog, along with the translation. Oh my God. The offender was hiding in the bushes in the twilight. The police tried to find him, and they were therefore walking into the bushes. Suddenly, reports from the accounts of the officers, the suspect attacked the two with an axe. The suspect attacked the officers with the raised axe in his hand. He was only 3, maybe 4 arms lengths away from them when the attacked officers fired their guns. One of the shots then hit the suspect and killed him, and so he was stopped. As a prosecutor, I am glad that trained officers were involved in this incident. If a normal police officer had been in this situation, it could have taken an entirely different course. This guy boarded a train and chopped up some Chinese tourists who were on the train. Going on. Going on. Need help from Alert Australians, also from Gates of Vienna. I just put this on here because it is encouraging to me that there are citizen journalists everywhere who are doing their best to work together. Posted on July 21st. It's around midnight in Sydney, so Alert Australians may be hard to find at the moment. But here's what I've been looking at in a very dissatisfying morning news report. A man is in custody after he set himself on fire and drove his flaming vehicle into Maryland's, that's in Sydney, police station's underground car park. No officers were injured in the car bomb attack when the man rammed the vehicle into the car park about 7 p.m. To summarize the very limited available facts. I'll just skip. Those are all indicators that this guy is a Muslim. There's no name yet, and of course, no photo. I'm trying to stay current by doing a Google news search on Maryland's and refreshing it every once in a while. If any of our Australian readers pick up any interesting details from local TV outlets or other media, please leave them in the comments. It'll be interesting to see what can be dug up about that. The next piece, somebody has blown their top. Bastillion of Liberty.blogspot.com. They have given us a new commandment. What is that commandment? It's not that we love one another. That one is already taken. And if there's anyone you shouldn't get into in an authorship wrangle with, it's the Son of God. And tangling with the shade of Ronald Reagan is almost as ill-advised. Well, I don't know about the Ronald Reagan part, but anyway. No, the newest commandment is this. Thou shalt not make other races feel inferior. That's from the gospel of the left. When a white man dares to speak well of white people, or an American praises America, or a Christian lauds Christianity, he's in violation. Neither is a white person / American / Christian allowed to defend white people, America / Christians from insult. That's considered a backhanded violation as well. However, note that the stricture does not apply to any other group. Oh my. Very good editorial. Please go and read it. Not so good of an editorial. A video. World government. This comes out of the United Nations. This was a statement made on the floor of the United Nations by the United Nations Human Rights Commissioner, who is a Muslim. And it's about gun confiscation. The next piece. California, first state to teach LGBT curriculum to second graders. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. A video, Alex Jones being attacked yesterday by BLMers at the Republican National Convention. I believe this is the last thing I put up today. It's an executive order. It's regarding an executive order that was dated July 24th, 2011. And for immediate release, the White House Office of the Press Secretary, July 20th, 2016. That was yesterday. Continuation of the national emergency with respect to transnational criminal organizations. The executive order of July 24th, 2011 is to continue in effect beyond July 24th, 2016. This is about the war on terror on the American people, among others. President Obama then posts the official notice. Therefore, in accordance with section blah blah of the National Emergencies Act, I am continuing for 1 year the national emergency with respect to significant transnational criminal organizations declared in Executive Order 13581. This notice shall be published in the Federal Register and transmitted to the Congress. Signed, Barack Obama, the White House, July 20th, 2016. I watched a little bit. I've been watching off and on Dabu's live stream from the streets of Cleveland outside the Republican National Convention. And I believe, the whole thing, it just looked like a freak show, an absolute freak show. And I think while all eyes are watching Trump and the RNC, I believe that the real action is taking place in Turkey. And I think that news coming out of Turkey is likely to turn into the most ominous aspect of this entire thing we could ever imagine. Meanwhile, you know, I talked about the troops, the National Guard from Idaho, being deployed to Poland. Off and on, we've talked a lot about NATO. Having entertained America for the past 3 days, overnight, Donald Trump's rhetoric crossed the Atlantic and has sparked a wave of alarm across Europe, as well as calls for solidarity from the head of NATO after warning that the U.S. might not come to the defense of an alliance ally under attack from Russia if that country has not fulfilled its obligations to America. That was kind of gobbledygook. The Trump statement in question has provoked dread across Europe's NATO member states. Excerpted below, in which the presidential candidate was asked whether he would defend the Baltic states in the face of Russian aggression if he were president. And Trump said, if they fulfill their obligations to us, the answer is yes. This interviewer said, I was just in the Baltic states. They are very concerned, obviously, about this new Russian activism. They are seeing submarines off their coast. They are seeing airplanes they haven't seen since the Cold War. Bombers doing test runs. If Russia came over the border into Estonia or Latvia, Lithuania, places that Americans don't think about all that often, would you come to their immediate aid? And Trump says, I don't want to tell you what I'd do because I don't want Putin to know what I'd do. I have a serious chance here of becoming president, and I'm not like Obama, that every time they send some troops into Iraq or someplace else, he has a news conference to announce it. The interviewer says, they are NATO members and we are treaty obligated. Trump says, we have many NATO members that aren't paying their bills. Interviewer, that's true, but we are treaty obligated under NATO. Forget the bills part. Trump, you can't forget the bills. They have an obligation to make payments. Many NATO nations are not making payments, are not making what they're supposed to make. That's a big thing, and you can't say, forget that. Interviewer, my point here is, can the members of NATO, including the new members in the Baltics, count on the United States to come to their military aid if they were attacked by Russia, and count on us for fulfilling our obligations? Trump, have they fulfilled their obligations? If they fulfill their obligations, then the answer is yes. Trump's statement quickly drew condemnation by commenters for suggesting NATO is merely a protection racket. Provoked a just as concerned response from NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg, who said that while he did not wish to interfere with the U.S. election campaign, solidarity among allies is a key value with NATO. What's important about this is, although Trump is talking about money and who owes who what debt, he's actually saying that he is not supporting NATO. And this is freaking the New World Orderers completely out. And it's very significant. Scrolling down, if there's any more importance here. It's actually quite a long article and gives much information about responses from various of the countries who might be involved in this. At its core, the NATO tension is a result of fears that Russia would invade the Baltics, and which supposedly justifies the recent dramatic expansion for NATO forces in Eastern Europe, culminating with the recent NATO summit, which determined that Russia was the biggest threat to the region, which we know is complete bullshit. Ironically, this happened just days after another scandal erupted inside NATO about Germany's foreign minister suggested that the Russian response had been merely in retaliation to NATO provocations. What we should avoid today is inflaming the situation by warmongering and stomping boots. Okay. Trump has been criticized in the past for comments that suggested he admired Putin for being a strong man. In the interview, Trump said that Putin and I will get along very well, and that he'd love a good relationship between the U.S. and Russia, so that instead of fighting each other, we got along. He also said he wouldn't lecture NATO ally Turkey about purges of political adversaries or crackdowns on civil liberties after the attempted coup in that country, saying the United States had first to fix our own mess. The FT stopped short of accusing Trump of being a Kremlin spy. Okay. So I'm suggesting very strongly that while all eyes are on the Democrat and the Republican National Convention, actually we need to be watching the Muslim in the White House, who is clearly conspiring with the Islamic Republic of Turkey. And this is pushing closer and closer to a World War III status. You must forgive me, I don't belong in this chair doing reports of world conditions, but I find myself in that chair. And so that is about all I can say about that for this moment. Maybe I will come back later and say a little bit more. In the meantime, remember that you are loved.